Welcome to our deep dive into the fascinating world of design modeling. I'm sure you're all interested in how a designer takes an idea from their imagination and turns it into a real product.
Absolutely.
That's what we're going to be looking at today. Our source material is a report called Modeling in Design, Process, Advantages, and Model Selection.
Okay.
And it really highlights just how essential models are in making that journey from idea to reality happen. Get ready to be surprised, though, because we're not just talking about those fancy architectural models you might be picturing.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. When we hear the word model, we often think of a tiny building or a miniature car.
Right.
But in the design world, modeling is so much bigger than that. It really is. Models are used in almost every stage of the design process.
So let's unpack that a bit. How do models actually fit into the design process?
Our report breaks it down into three key stages,
Okay.
and I'm keen to explore where models really come into their own.
Well, the first stage is all about generating and exploring ideas.
Right. And this is where models really become like an extension of the designer's mind. Think about an architect sketching a skyscraper. Those initial drawings they make are like very rough models, capturing the basic essence of the design. And then they might create a physical scale model, which helps them to visualize the building's form and how it interacts with the surrounding environment.
So even in those very early stages, we're already seeing different types of models working together to shape a design.
Exactly. And this initial exploration isn't limited to massive structures either. Think about smartphone designers. They might start with quick sketches to try out different screen sizes and button layouts,
Oh, yeah.
and then they might move on to 3D printed block models
Yay.
to get a sense of how the phone actually feels in your hand.
That makes so much sense.
Right.
You wouldn't want to commit to a final design for a phone without actually holding it and getting a feel for how it fits in your hand,
No, you wouldn't.
especially for something we use so often.
Absolutely. And these early models are also great for collaboration. Imagine a group of designers gathered around a table, sketching ideas and building rough prototypes together.
Yeah.
It becomes a very dynamic process where models really become a shared language for the team, helping them to communicate and refine ideas much more quickly.
It sounds like models are so much more than just visual representations.
Oh, they are.
They're tools for collaboration and problem solving right from the beginning of the design process. But what happens then when we move on from those initial sparks of inspiration to actually testing and refining the design, that's where things get really serious.
Yeah, that's the second stage of the design process.
Okay.
And it's where models really prove their worth, particularly when it comes to avoiding costly mistakes later on. Imagine building a bridge based solely on drawings. What if there's a hidden structural flaw that only becomes apparent during construction?
I don't even want to think about that.
Right. The stakes are high.
It's a lot of pressure.
So, to mitigate those risks, designers often rely on models for testing. For example, they might build a scale model of a bridge
Okay.
and then subject it to simulated wind loads or stress tests,
Yeah.
which allows them to identify any potential weaknesses and improve the design before they commit to actually building the real thing.
It's like a dress rehearsal for
Exactly.
the real thing. It lets designers identify and fix any problems in a controlled environment before it's too late.
That's right.
Now, what about products that people interact with directly? So something like a car or a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
How do models help to ensure that those designs are safe and comfortable for the user?
That's where block models become really useful.
Mm.
Remember, we talked about those earlier. Car designers, for example, might create a full-size block model of a car's interior. They'll use foam or wood to represent the seats, the dashboard, and the steering wheel. Then they'll have real people sit in the model so they can provide feedback on things like comfort and ergonomics.
It's like a test drive before the car even exists. I can see how that would be so valuable for making sure that the design is actually user-friendly.
Precisely. And with advancements in 3D printing, designers can now create more and more sophisticated block models, ones that incorporate moving parts and adjustable features, which allows for even more detailed testing.
So we've seen how models can help generate ideas.
Right.
And then they help to rigorously test those ideas.
Yeah.
But there's still one very important stage left, communicating those designs to others. How do models play a role in that?
That's the third stage of the process.
Okay.
This is where models transition from being tools for internal development to being powerful communication tools for clients, stakeholders, and even the general public. Think about an architect who needs to present a new museum design to the city council. A beautifully made scale model can instantly convey the building's grandeur and how it will impact the surrounding area
Right.
in a way that drawings just can't.
It's like a miniature work of art that tells the story of the design, a
Yeah,
way that anyone can understand and appreciate.
excellent.
You don't have to be an architect to get it.
You don't.
And it's not just about aesthetics, is it? Those models can also communicate the important functional aspects of the design.
They can. For instance, that architectural model might have working lights to show how natural light will flow through the museum.
Oh, wow.
Or it might have sections you can remove that reveal the internal layout of the building and how people will move through.
It's like a guided tour of the building before it's even built.
Exactly.
What about for products that are more about how they feel and how they work? So something like a new ergonomic office chair.
Right.
How do models work there?
I think in those cases, a physical prototype is the most effective way to communicate the benefits of the design. Imagine a potential buyer actually sitting in that chair, experiencing its adjustability and comfort firsthand. No amount of drawings or explanations could replace that.
So it seems that models are like the ultimate storytellers in the design world.
Yeah, I like that.
They weave together the aesthetic, the functionality, and the user experience
Yeah.
of design in a way that words just can't. I'm still really curious, though, about how designers actually choose the right model for the job, especially with so many different types to choose from.
That's a great question. It's something that our report explores in quite a bit of detail. Each type of model has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
And choosing the right one really depends on what stage you're at in the design process
Right.
and also what your specific goals are.
So it's like a designer's toolkit,
Yeah.
with each model serving a unique purpose. I'm really looking forward to learning more about those different types and how they play a role in shaping the world around us.
Okay, let's do it. Welcome back to our deep dive into design modeling.
Oh, it's great to be back. I'm still thinking about all those different ways that models are used throughout the design process. It's like they're the unsung heroes, quietly shaping everything from the skyscrapers we see to the smartphones we use every day.
You're absolutely right. They really are the unsung heroes. And as we start looking at these different types of models in more detail, you'll see just how specialized they can be.
Yeah.
Each one has its own strengths and weaknesses.
And our report actually calls this section the Model Showcase. It highlights those unique characteristics of each type of model.
Okay.
So why don't we start with sketch models?
Okay.
Those are the quick sketches and the rough prototypes we talked about a little bit earlier.
Right.
It seems like they're perfect for those early brainstorming sessions when the ideas are flowing and you just need to get them down quickly.
Exactly. Sketch models are all about speed and fluidity. They let designers explore a wide range of ideas without getting bogged down in the details too early.
Wow.
Think of them as visual shorthand, capturing the essence of an idea before it's fully formed.
It's like the initial spark of a melody before it's been arranged into a full symphony.
Exactly. And because sketch models are usually made from cheap and readily available materials, things like paper, cardboard, foam, they're really cost effective. So designers can experiment and make changes quickly without spending a lot of money.
That's so important in those early stages. It lets you really play around with different ideas and see what works without the pressure of having to create something super polished.
Absolutely. So they're great for those what-if moments in the design process, trying out all sorts of different concepts and seeing what sticks.
I like that. Now, when it's time to move on from those initial explorations and you want to present a more refined concept,
Yeah,
it seems like scale models often take center stage.
they do.
These are the ones that really capture the imagination, especially when you see them in fields like architecture or product design.
Right.
They're like miniaturized versions of the final product, often with incredible detail and precision.
Yeah, scale models are all about creating a tangible representation of the design, something you can actually hold in your hand and experience from different angles.
It's like you're stepping into a miniature world.
Yeah.
You get a sense of the scale, the proportion, the overall look and feel of the final product.
Exactly. And because they're often made with so much attention to detail, they're really effective in communicating a design vision to clients, stakeholders, and even the general public.
Yeah, they really showcase the artistry and the craftsmanship of the designer.
Absolutely. They're like the showpieces of the design world.
Now, when it's time to really test the functionality and the ergonomics of a design,
Yeah.
we turn to, I guess, the workhorses of the modeling world, those block models.
We do.
I feel like these are the ones that sometimes get overlooked,
They do.
but they play such a crucial role in ensuring a design is comfortable, user-friendly, that it actually works as intended.
Absolutely. Block models are all about stripping away the unnecessary details and focusing on the core functionality of the design. So you can use them to test things like how a product fits in your hand, how easily a door swings open, how comfortably you can sit in a chair.
They're like the unsung heroes, making sure that everything functions smoothly before you move on to more refined prototypes.
Exactly. And because they're typically made from cheap materials like foam or wood, you can make changes and adjustments easily and affordably.
It's like having a testing ground where you can really experiment and fine-tune those essential aspects of the design.
Exactly.
Now, finally, we have to talk about the digital powerhouses of the modeling world,
Right.
the computer-generated models.
Yes.
I mean, these have really revolutionized the design process. They allow for a level of precision and complexity that was unimaginable before.
Absolutely. Computer-generated models live in a virtual world where designers can manipulate them with incredible accuracy.
Right.
They can test them under a wide range of conditions and even simulate how they'll perform over time.
Like having a virtual laboratory.
Yeah,
You can experiment with different materials, try out different designs, and really push the boundaries of what's possible.
you can. And with advances in software and computing power, these models are becoming increasingly sophisticated. Designers can now simulate things like crash tests, analyze performance in different weather conditions, and even see how different materials will wear and tear over time.
Wow. It's like they can fast forward through the entire lifespan of a product and identify any potential problems before it even exists in the real world.
Exactly. But even with all the power that digital modeling offers, it's important to remember that each type of model has its own unique place in the design process.
Yeah, it's like having a well-stocked toolkit. Each tool serves a specific purpose.
Right. So sketch models are great for those early brainstorming sessions and for exploring different concepts. Scale models excel at communicating design visions and getting people excited about the project. Block models are essential for making sure things work properly and are comfortable to use. And computer-generated models allow for incredible precision, analysis, and simulation.
So it's not about choosing one type of model over another. It's about understanding the strengths of each one and using them strategically throughout the entire design process.
Exactly. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll see how these models are used in action in various industries, from smartphone design to car design to architecture.
Ooh, I can't wait to see them in action, bringing those ideas to life.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into design modeling.
It's been great exploring those different types of models and how they fit into the process.
Yeah, now we get to see those models in action.
Let's do it.
Our report highlights three main areas: smartphones, cars, and architecture, where models are just crucial.
Okay.
I'm excited to see how they're used to create the things we see and use every single day.
Well, why don't we start with smartphones? I mean, pretty much everyone has one in their pocket these days. It's amazing to think about the journey from the initial spark of an idea in a designer's mind to the sleek device we hold in our hands.
I know, it's incredible. So how do those early ideas actually get translated into a physical product?
Well, it all starts with those early sketches, just capturing that basic form,
Yeah.
exploring different screen sizes, button layouts, even thinking about different materials for the casing.
Okay.
And then those sketches might evolve into some really rough prototypes.
Yeah.
Just simple mock-ups using basic materials to get a sense of the phone's size and shape.
So they're already thinking about things like ergonomics at that stage.
Oh, absolutely. How does it feel in your hand?
Yeah.
How easy is it to reach the buttons? All those things.
And then as the design progresses, they move on to more sophisticated models.
Exactly. And they might use 3D printing to create prototypes that are much closer to that final product.
Oh, wow.
And these models allow the designers to actually test things like the placement of the ports and the speakers, get the feel of those buttons, and even see how the phone works with different accessories.
So they're really bringing the design to life step by step.
They are. They're making sure every little detail is thought through.
And alongside those physical models, are they also working on computer-generated models at the same time?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Those digital models let the designers simulate things like the internal components, test the software,
Wow.
even see how the phone will hold up under stress.
It's like they're putting it through its paces in a virtual world before it even exists in the real one.
Exactly. And speaking of real-world performance, why don't we move on to car design?
Okay, yeah.
Models play a big role there, too. Everything from the look of the car to how it moves through the air.
I've always been fascinated by how car designers blend that artistry and engineering to create those amazing vehicles.
It's a real balancing act. You have to have both form and function.
Yeah.
And models are a key part of achieving that balance.
So where do they start?
It often begins with sketches and clay models where the designers can play around with different shapes and proportions,
Right.
really capturing the character of the car.
It's like they're sculpting the wind,
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
trying to find that perfect blend of aerodynamic efficiency and visual appeal.
As the design takes shape, those initial models get translated into more refined prototypes.
Okay.
And they'll often use a mix of traditional and cutting-edge techniques. So you might have full-scale clay models to perfect those curves and surfaces,
Right.
while at the same time using computer models to analyze the aerodynamics and the structural integrity of the car.
So they're using both the physical and the digital world to create something that's both beautiful and functional.
Absolutely. And those computer models are getting so advanced these days.
Yeah.
Designers can simulate crash tests,
Yeah.
analyze how the car performs in different weather conditions,
Right.
and even see how different materials are going to hold up over time.
It's like they can predict the entire life of the car before it's even built.
That's right. Finally, let's talk about architecture, where models have been an essential tool for, well, centuries, helping architects to bring their grand visions to life.
Those architectural models are always so impressive.
They are.
The detail, the scale.
It's incredible.
It's like you're looking at a miniature city.
Yeah, they're works of art in their own right, but they're also so much more than that.
Right.
They're tools for communication, for collaboration, for solving problems.
Yeah.
They help architects to share their ideas with clients, with stakeholders, with the public.
I bet it's pretty powerful to show a client a scale model of their future home or office building.
Oh, absolutely. It gives them a way to experience that space in 3 dimensions,
Yeah.
to get a feel for the flow, the light, all of that.
Even before the first brick is laid.
Exactly. And those models are not just static objects.
Right.
They can incorporate things like lighting to show how natural light will move through the building.
Oh, wow.
They can have removable sections to show the internal layout.
Amazing.
They can even be used to test different materials and finishes.
It's like getting a sneak peek into the future of that building.
It is. And with all the advancements in 3D printing and virtual reality, those models are getting even more immersive and interactive.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Architects can now create incredibly detailed models that you can actually experience through a virtual reality headset.
Yeah.
You can walk through the building,
It's amazing.
interact with different features, and even make design changes in real time.
It's like stepping right into the architect's imagination.
Exactly. So as our deep dive comes to an end, I hope you've gained a new appreciation for the power of models in the design process.
I definitely have. There's so much more than just miniature representations. They're these incredible tools for exploration, for communication, for innovation.
That's right. They're shaping the world around us in so many ways.
They really are. So
Yeah.
next time you see a cool new smartphone, a beautifully designed car, or an amazing skyscraper, think about all the models that help bring that creation to life.
Great point.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into design modeling. Thanks for joining us.